I don't know what vibe you're getting, but do you think Antonio Conte to Tottenham is dead? No legs left in it? Or maybe...
No, I don't think it's dead, but I think it's almost veering into the territory of the parrot in the Monty Python sketch, because it is a difficult one for them to do, but they still have an iron in the fire with somebody that used to work alongside him, which is the new potential new director of football, Paratici, that's coming in. And of course, people jumped to the conclusion initially when he was linked with Tottenham that that was in part the reasons why they may have the ability to get Antonio Conte. I think it's a very sensible decision.
Sure.
I think it's necessary that Tottenham get a top quality director of football and move Daniel a little bit away from the front of the football operation.
Well, Simon, you brought us beautifully onto it. Let's talk about it now. It seems it is all but imminent that this man, Fabio Paratici, will start his new challenge as Tottenham's director of football in the coming days. It could well be the coming hours, because an agreement was reached a couple of days ago, as we understand it. The contract is now set to be signed, and Tottenham will acquire themselves this man, Paratici, as their director of football. And the first thing that he's going to do is what? Appoint a new manager.
You would think so. I would think so, yeah.
So, I mean, to a large extent here, is it the cart before the horse? Because last week we were talking about if they get Conte, they're going to get Paratici. Now they're going to get Paratici, but who are they going to get?
I think it's absolutely right. If you're going to devolve power to a director of football and give him a proper power base, that part of that power base involves his recruitment of a manager, because the director of football's role should be all-encompassing, from the style of football to the recruitment policy to the youth development to every aspect of the football operation. It should have devolved authority with autonomous budgets that report back into the board, specifically Daniel and Daniel up to Joe Lewis. And this guy coming in shouldn't be coming in after the manager's appointed. He should be the person that appoints the manager, so he establishes that line of reporting, that line of relationship, that balance of power, that division of labour, and that clear understanding of who, when, what, why, and how.
So the order's right.
I think so.
Paratici and then whoever.
So. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
right.
I mean, unless you're going to half bake it, unless you're going to have a director of football that isn't a director of football, is a glorified messenger. If you're going to give a director of football a brief, a remit, and an authority, then give it to him. Agree your budgets, turn around and say, right, this is what we've got for player transfers, this is what we've got for wages, this is how we want the youth policy to look like. Are you the person for that job? Away you go, implement it, report it back to me in real time and over a period of time. And in order to do that, you have to get someone that's capable of doing it, someone that's competent. So in you bring this guy that comes with a big reputation. Of course, the indexing is to Conte because of the time they had together at Juve, I think. Now you look at that and say, okay, he may actually be able to pare back some of what we're being led to believe might be some of the reaching demands that Conte has, because he might be able to cement in the thinking of Conte that this is the journey we're going to go on. It's going to be a fascinating one that has real resonance. Yeah. I think they'd do well to probably avoid Conte, because I think he's going to bring more challenges than he'll bring solutions. But notwithstanding that, the other argument is the distinct possibility if Conte is backed that he'll win Tottenham something.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. And that was part of what you get with Conte is a winner.
But Tottenham have already proven
and a winning agenda.
Tottenham have already proven, as a matter of fact, that they're prepared to throw away the opportunity to win something if somebody they've employed doesn't suit them.
Well, we'll watch for Paratici arriving on the scene, Simon, but it's not... I think, from what I read in front of me, the conversation's raging now on this matter on YouTube and on Facebook. It's also the subject matter of a lot of tweets that are coming in. Does this not now show, and you know Daniel Levy, and I've met Daniel on a number of occasions, that Daniel Levy at the top of the house at Tottenham, the absolute top is Joe Lewis. But where's he? In the Bahamas. So Levy is here. Does it not now prove more than at any other time that Levy needs help at Tottenham at this stage in Tottenham's history? He needs somebody about him to decision make.
Well, when you say help
and shoulder the load,
he needs effective appointments. So if he's got a finance director requirement, or if he's got a role within his business, it doesn't mean he needs help. He needs the appropriate resource alongside him to run a business effectively. It's not the first time Tottenham had a director of football. They had a friend of mine, Frank Arneson, in there that Chelsea poached and took him across to Chelsea when Roman Abramovich wanted him to help build up their policies. I think they've had Damon Comolli at Tottenham. So it's not something that Tottenham haven't done before.
Saying. Does he not need to delegate more then?
Well, okay, let's
because they've come and gone,
Okay.
and maybe they weren't delegated the kind of work that they thought they would be.
Let's go back 2 years, close our eyes, and look at what was the Tottenham team that was on the front foot. Everything seems to be right about Tottenham. £137 million profits, building a new stadium, brilliant young players at Dele Alli, Harry Kane, England captain, full-backs for fun, centre-backs looking like they're world beaters, players all over the pitch, squad looking right, Pochettino a front foot manager, Daniel Levy, the blueprint for a Premier League chairman. Roll forward like most things in life, cyclically, they change.
Yeah.
And we've got a different dynamic. Now, Daniel was looking at it, probably saying, made a bit of a mess of the ESL, guaranteed that Daniel was involved up to his elbows in the thinking behind the ESL, because I can hear Daniel saying, how am I supposed to budget for a football club if I don't know what my revenues are? So Daniel would have been all for the opportunity of the ESL. Now you look at it and say, okay, there's been a resistance. People are calling for Daniel to be removed from his job, and it might be just a few loud, vociferous voices, or it might be a movement. We saw the Tottenham fans coming out with this ridiculous 8-point charter of how they think they're going to dictate to the owners of the club. So Daniel may well be sitting there going, I've got fish to fry, and probably what I need to do is put somebody in that's football facing, absolutely football facing, dawn till dusk, has the juice, the credentials and the capability of doing the things that I want. Let him deal with that, and I'll be hands off a little bit. And I think that's just good management in any business.
See the final part of what you said though, and I'll be hands off a little bit.
Yeah.
Will he?
But he won't be.
Will he?
Daniel won't be hands off when it comes to selling players. Daniel will still hold the ideals behind what they want to spend and how they want to spend it. But if he's got real resonance in this appointment, he'll devolve budgets to a certain level on spend, but control, I suspect, on recouping money when they're selling players.
Yeah.
I.e., it will not be this director of football that flogs Harry Kane.
Yeah.
If he's flogged. It will be Daniel.
Yeah. I mean, this all comes at a time that they've got this, I mean, we talk about it all the time, that the superb new home that they've got, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah. But that's hanging around them, and that has been a major, major factor in, if you like, the diversion that it's caused.
Well, insofar as we can compare and contrast it with, say, their North London rivals, and everybody talked about the Emirates being the opening of the gateway for Arsenal to be more competitive, and then found out that actually the cost of the Emirates detracted from Arsenal's ability to compete in a transfer market.
Yeah.
But you can't compare the two, because as soon as the stadium doors open, we've got COVID-19 shutting everybody down.
Exactly.
Right?
Sure.
So you can't compare the argument that Arsenal's Emirates deployed a certain logic and Tottenham have just followed it. It's simply because Tottenham have lost probably the best part of 150 million as a result of, and Joe isn't sitting there saying, I'm going to bridge that. Abramovich is. Mansour saying it,
and actually
but Joe isn't.
It springs to mind, Simon, as we head to a break. One thing Tottenham didn't have that Arsenal had at that time was a Danny Fisman, who was
financing a lot of what Arsenal did,
who was equals the new Emirates project.
Well, he was lending them money, absolutely.
So you had Fisman and Wenger together working alongside that, whereby Levy was like, let's get this thing off the ground. Let's get this Tottenham Hotspur Stadium off the ground.
But Arsenal didn't have Daniel Levy's ability to go and get COVID funding from the government for 0.6% or whatever he's been able to bore 250 million quid for, or a stadium that was in part funded by the NFL pouring a bunch of money in there.
Sure.
So they both had their yings and their yangs, haven't they?
I like that. I always like it when you get to the yin and yang stage, because I know there's balance to it. Get it? 11:15.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.